Hello and welcome to Model Kit Stuff. My name is Jason. It is August and yes, it's still called the Roundup. So welcome everyone to the August Roundup. If you've not seen a Roundup before, this is the point at the start of the month where I remind you of the things that we did last month, just in case you missed anything. And we talk about what's coming up in the month ahead, what I'm filming for the next couple of months ahead, and maybe one or two other things as well into the mix, including shout outs. Who knows what's going to happen? If you're a new subscriber, welcome. Thank you very much for subscribing, particularly as it was in July that we reached the milestone of 3,000 subscribers. Wow, just blowing me away. Brilliant. Thank you so much for following the channel. So for the last 3 or 4 months now, my builds have been rotating on a 3-week cycle. So every 3rd week they pop up again, which means every month there's one build that appears twice. And in July, that was Queen Mary 2. So we kicked off the Queen Mary 2 build and suddenly it feels like that build is coming together. We've moved from putting together the big chunks of plastic and some scratch building that had to be done to allow those layers of plastic to build up, to now we're at that photo etch stage where we're starting to, from the bow, move backwards and pile the photo etch on. So she's really coming to life now. The fine detail is being added and she's really looking like a ship. It also means that we are going to plow through that as we get to the stern, and then probably as we do all those stern decks, that's when we're going to slow down, because we've got tables and chairs and all sorts of bits and pieces to go on. Lots and lots and lots of photo etch at the back end of that ship. So yeah, the build is going really well. I'm happy with it. It's steaming along, but we are still not at the final straight yet, so still lots to do with her. But I'm increasingly getting more and more subscribers on the back of the Queen Mary 2. So although I principally like to build ships as my preferred model genre, the Queen Mary 2 being such an epic build with such a level of detail that we're trying to put into her has taken some time. So at some point we're going to slip another ship build in as a secondary build. But in July, most of my subscribers came from either the HMS Fly build or the Queen Mary 2 build. So sticking with builds, the next build that came along was the HMS Fly build. So that's the only build that I do that doesn't do a premiere. That allows me to rotate the others on a 3-week basis. Otherwise, I'd be doing them once a month, and I just want a little bit more pace than that. The Fly build is working out well in a sort of a half-an-hour video, and they are very, very popular. So I'm getting a lot of nice comments about the Fly, and I'm really pleased that there are people making comments saying, I've never thought about doing a wooden ship, but now I am, and others saying, I've started to build wooden ships as a consequence of watching this, and I love it. Someone even said, I think I've found my niche. So, you know, I'm really pleased that people are dipping their toe in the wooden model ship thing. It's a totally different type of experience to plastic. I personally think it's more relaxing than plastic. Different skills, less tools needed, less pressure. Yeah, I think everyone should be doing a bit of wooden modelling in their life, but that's just me. Then our second plastic kit build was the launch of the Rotodyne, and that has been very popular. I know there were some people waiting for that. When I did the first impressions, it got quite a lot of love and people were saying, oh, you've got to build this. In fact, people were quite insistent. So I'm glad we've been able to get to it quite quickly. The kit itself has gone together really, really well. When you consider that the kit is like 20 years older than me in terms of tooling, and they've never done anything different with it. it's not bad at all. There are some bits missing. There is a couple of bits that at the end of the build we will add on a little bit of detail that we need to up its game. But minor stuff really. In the main, it looks great with a little bit of fettling to get it where you'd want it to be. I'm quite pleased. We've built it in a retro style. You know, no airbrushes. We've done it all brush painted and shown that it can be done. And I think it's turning out into quite a nice representation of the Rotodyne. Now, if you really enjoyed the Rotodyne and you would like to make something maybe even a little bit more special, I know Revell did a larger one, and I know it had interior details, and I think even you could take panels away and have a look at it. Now, one of the interesting things about the Rotodyne that a lot of people don't know is that big helicopter rotor on the top. It's made of steel. Can you imagine how heavy that would be? Well, actually, it was hollow, so it wasn't very heavy. It also wasn't connected to a motor. There's no engine connected to it. It's just wind. Brilliant. Then we had part 8 of the Tiger build, and once you've got past the lower hull, that build improves immeasurably. And a lot of people have said to me that the kit experiences that I've had is not a reflection on how an RFM kit usually is. And what I found is once you got onto the top plate and you've got it positioned, everything else goes together really well. The turret's built together really well. Yeah, so it's for me, it's looking really nice. We'll be seeing more of the tank coming together, the turret, the side bins, doing some damage on the side bins. So there's lots to look forward to that. Yeah, so I'm really happy with how it's coming together, and it feels like we're starting to get some pace. We'll soon be putting the diorama together with Gavin's fabulous figures. So I don't think we're far off with that, and that's good, because as soon as that Tiger finishes, we've got the Wingnut Wings Gotha coming along, and I'm going to plan to do the introduction video in August. I was going to do it in July, just didn't get time. I'll have a little bit more time in August, even with the summer holidays and the kids being about. I will have some more time, and I'll be able to get that film, do the introduction, and talk about what I intend to do. But the Tiger itself isn't far off being done. It just basically needs painting and tools and tracks being added. Tracks, there's an adventure not to be missed. Then we had more Queen Mary 2, and because of how the month lies in relation to Saturdays, we then had some more Rotodyne as well. So really busy month in terms of build videos, and it's really nice to see some new people coming along to the Saturdays and the live chat. You're always welcome. There's regulars there, and there's people that dip in depending on the subject, and it's just nice to have a chat with people. Now, when it comes to tools, quick tips, product reviews, I move things around so that I could get that glazing video that kicked off July up, because I was aware that one of the channels I follow was about to do it, and I thought, you know what, we'll put a little video out. I had it planned in anyway, and I'd already filmed it. It was there ready to go, but I had it planned to come out later on at some point back end of September. So I reshuffled things around, and we did the glazing video. Now, I guess most people have worked out how to do glazing. It's not difficult if you've done it before, but if you haven't done it before, I thought it'd be handy just to understand the principle, how it works, and a lot of people were surprised that I was able to glaze such a large area on the Rotodyne. And you know, the bottle gives you an idea of what sort of space you can glaze, but quite often you can, with a bit of care, get it further than that. So it's always worth having a little try and a play before you do these things and see what's possible. Then we had a product review, the Vallejo metal varnish, and that was really interesting. I expected, because the contents of the bottle looked different, I expected we would see something different in terms of the finished look, and we did, but ever so slightly. There's a slight yellow tinge to it, which sort of gives it an ever so slight metallic sheen, but it is so subtle it's almost not possible to see it. And if it's not on a metallic, it's just a gloss varnish, as we demonstrated. Is it a gimmick? Borderline, but you know what? Varnish is varnish, and if your metallic is good, do you need something else metallic on top? I don't know. I think it's one of those where modeler, take your choice. Then we did a little video on the awl. It's one of those things that people have either really thought about or never thought about, I think. And when I talk to fellow modelers, people have either got them and loved them or not got one, can't see the need for one. So I thought that was an interesting video. There's lots of uses for it, lots and lots of uses for it. And certainly I've seen one or two more awls about since that video came out. One or two have made a point of using it and using the name awl to have some jokes, which is brilliant. But yeah, definitely a tool worth having. They're not expensive, and it comes in really, really handy. So we ended the Monday slots with how to remove vac form pieces from vac form. Now, if you've been watching the Tiger diorama build, you'll have seen that. But for a lot of people who've not seen that, then that's quite a handy video to have. And what you've got to remember is that once this video goes out, subscribers get the opportunity to see it straight away, but otherwise it sits there and people stumble across these videos when they're looking for something specific. So if someone types in, how do you remove parts from vac form sheet or something like that, that video will pop up and they might not come across it for weeks, months, maybe a couple of years. So you have to remember that these videos are all intended to be standalone unless they're part of a build series, in which case they're linked with a playlist. So the idea was to aim that at people who hadn't seen the video. So some of you might have thought, you know, we've done this to death, and that'd be a fair point, really. And I suppose as it happened yesterday, strictly speaking, it's in August, we should say that yesterday that we did a video on a resin figure on the Monday slot. Not overly enamoured with it. I think poor use of materials has really detracted from what could be a really nice sculpt. So you've got a lot of filling and prep and stuff to do, and you know, it's all very doable, but it's a lot of work, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure I can be bothered. But I want to practice my figure painting skills, and it might be a case of let's stick that together and have a go at it just for practice. First impressions videos, always popular, and we started with the Life of Argon, another stunning little kit from Mini Art. Now, earlier in the year, back in February, I built the saloon version of that vehicle, basically their 170V Mercedes. This was the van version, and there's loads and loads and loads of options for it. Came with cardboard boxes and a little stacker truck and stuff. It's a great little accessory for German streets, dioramas. You could show it shot up and damaged in Berlin at the end of the war, or you could show it in pristine condition at the start of the war. Loads and loads of opportunities, and I love the fact that Mini Art give you some nice civilian stuff that you can mix with your military stuff as well if you like. So nice little kit. I know it goes together well because I've already built the saloon version. I assume that we won't have any issues with the van box back. Lovely little kit, what more can you say? Then we had Revell's Stranraer float plane. Obviously, formerly a Matchbox kit, so it was a Matchbox standard, which means we know it's going to go together well. It's well constructed, it's well designed, it looks really nice, but it's also quite basic. And I think Revell are stretching putting that out, but not a recent release particularly, but still a very nice little aircraft. I love the shape of it. It's a little bit unusual. It's not a common float plane that you see, like the Catalinas and so on and so forth. So a nice little change. And if you like your float planes, and I do, I think that's a nice little addition to the collection. So I'm looking forward to knocking that together. It won't be a big build, it won't be a difficult build, but I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. And lots of people love the Matchbox. It brings back so many memories. And couple of weeks ago I was watching Airfix's Sprue Talk, and even they were talking about how much they loved the Matchbox kits. So yeah, it's something that we all miss, and people like to reminisce about it. When I build something that's Matchbox, we get a lot of interest. And in the voting recently for the 3K subs, the Matchbox got a lot of interest. It beat some recent Airfix kits because people want to see them. Then I think we had the Queen Mary, another Revell kit. This one really showing its age in many respects, but in other areas, actually not bad. The hull's really good, nicely detailed with a little bit of work, not bad. The main drawback was the railings and the fact that they're moulded in, but that can be dealt with. A little bit of an odd scale, but the 1/600 scale etch pretty much covers it off. It's almost there, 1/570, so small a difference you wouldn't really notice. So as we just mentioned the vote, we should perhaps talk about that. Obviously 3,000 subscribers, what I like to do is do something a little bit special to say thank you. And so far on each occasion when we've increased the subscriber count by 1,000, we've allowed you, the subscriber, to choose what kit you'd like to see built next. Now, as I explained, I have 3 sort of plastic build streams, and so far you have chosen 2 secondary builds, the Mogami and the Wingnut Wings Gotha, and you've chosen a in-between build, which is this 1/72 scale de Havilland Mosquito, which was a new tool last year and had some lovely little innovations in. Go and have a look at the first impressions if you've not had a look at what you get in this kit, because it's a knockout little kit and I'm looking forward to it. What I've got to think about now is which paint scheme do I want to do. I think I'm drawn to the black one, just because you don't see many mosquitoes having the black scheme done. There's a lot of the 132 Tamiya ones around, and that's all camouflage and so on. So I think we might go black just for a change. Even though I've done black fairly recently on the channel, I think we might do that. But I'm not 100%, so don't hold me to it. So if we get to 4,000 subscribers, I'm planning on doing something a little bit different. Rather than you choosing a kit, I'm going to do something that's going to get all of you involved if you want to be. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think a lot of people will be up for it. It won't be a group build or anything like that. It'll be minor work for you, bit of work for me, but the end result I think will be really, really good. And it might be something that we start featuring on a quarterly or annual basis or something like that, if it goes well. But I do have some ideas. I don't want to say too much now because, quite frankly, I want to keep it top secret until we get to 4,000, if indeed we ever do. Right, well, that sums up what happened in July, so what's happening in August? Well, Queen Mary 2, she's going to carry on. Lots of photo etch going on there, some of it that's supplied with the Platinum edition, some of it that comes from the gold medal models, and some of it additional stuff that we're sort of using etch that's intended for a different purpose to help us scratch build some additional detail onto the kit. So there's all sorts of bits and pieces going on and coming up with that build. So look out for that because it's getting quite serious on the sort of photo etch and scratch building side of things now. So yeah, quite a lot of fun. I'm doing my best to push the Tiger diorama along as quickly as I can, which means some quite heavy editing, particularly around the painting of the diorama. I've got to try and find a balance between showing you what I did and getting the build finished in terms of video terms, so that we can get this Gotha on the go, partly because I'm looking forward to it, but partly because you are patiently waiting for it. But I want to do justice to the Tiger. That was the whole point of doing it in the first place. In August we won't be finishing the Tiger, but I would like to try and finish the actual build so that I can start the Gotha ready for you guys to catch up at some point a few weeks behind that. So that's my plan. I plan to try and get it finished in August. We will have to wait and see, but that's what's going to go on with that. Rotodyne will be finished. I mean, it's as I record this, and I'm recording this a little bit earlier than I normally do because, yeah, again, I'm going on holiday. I expect that the Rotodyne will be finished at the end of July or the first week of August. So the Mosquito build will be starting then, and you'll probably see it, depending on how the Saturdays fall, at the back end of the month, or maybe just pipping into September. The Fly build, you'll definitely see one in August, but we might not get one in September because we're at that putting lots of secondary planking on, and there's nothing. Once we've gone through the Gunport patterns and gone up to the top, there isn't really much to show you until we're at the point where we're putting the waterline on and painting it white and what have you. It's just a repetition of what we did on the first set of planking. So I'm not sure that I want to show you that, but there's a lot of work to do that I've got to get through. So we might skip a month of Fly just while I crack on with it. Once that second planking's done though, there's lots of things going on, lots of content to come out after that. We've got the decorations to do on the hull, and there's a lot of them. We've got the stern galleries to do. We've got to finish doing the decks. We've got cannons to build and rig, top decks to go on, tons to do before we can start thinking about masts and other fittings and so on and so forth. There's a lot to do, but I can't get to any of that until I've secondary planked both sides. So it's just at a tedious point, so we might be a pause from your guys' point of view while I beaver away. When it comes to first impressions in August, expect to see a staff car, a dogfight double, a very large U-boat, and a German tank, all coming in August. And I will be filming some more for September, October. So let's talk about them. Right, firstly, and this isn't necessarily the order that you'll end up seeing them, I like to try and rotate them so you've not got 2 weeks with 2 ships. Doesn't always work out, but there you go. 1 to 350 scale, believe it or not, Flower class corvette. So, do you know how big that is? About that big. About that big. Full length, honestly. When you consider... Anyway, it's not big, but it's to scale, so it's a nice little kit. We're going to review it, we're going to have a look at it, and we're going to have a look at some aftermarket. So if you thought the 1 to 144 scale that Revell put out, which is a nice kit by the way, was a bit fiddly when it came to photo etch, then you ain't seen nothing yet. So we have done one of their kits before, but it was a tank. We've not done one of their ship kits. They have a number of them, including their famous Polish wartime ships, which I've not got and I need to do. If you've never seen a Mirage kit, then keep tuned for this, because this is a nice little kit actually. But I'm not going to leave you with any spoilers. You'll just have to watch the video. When it comes to things that fly, that, which is a fairly new tool, I think it's released this year. I think it was. That is going to be coming along. So it's a very unusual looking aircraft. A lot of people like the Sabre. I just think it's a little bit. Do you know what? It reminds me of one of those Muppets from the intro to the Muppet Show. You know, the one that does that tune. You know what I mean now, don't you? You know what I mean now. But yeah, unusual looking aircraft. 1/48 scale. It's got 2 paint options. Let's have a look in the box. That is being filmed this month, ready for September. Sticking with air fix, but this time we've got our tracks firmly on the ground. We're going to have a look at this, the M3 Honey, as it was popularly known by its crews. Again, a bit of an unusual tank. Got quite a high profile, odd shape to it. I think it'd be really interesting to have a look. Now we know that if it's Airfix, it's likely to be Academy. What interestingly it does say on it is you have rubber band tracks, or they have what they refer to as hard tracks. Let's hope they're not hard to build tracks. I think they mean link and length. And then finally we have the Missouri. Now this is a stash ad as of July. And what I wanted to show you was the fact that we have a Verifier kit. Now this kit costs about the same amount as the donkey's years old Missouri from Tamiya. Now the Missouri you get from Tamiya is in its more modern guise, but this is in its as launched Second World War guise. I've already filmed the first impressions for this. We're going to fit this in at some point. I'm not sure where. I was intending to do it as an extra one, but then something else cropped up that was a little bit bigger, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, this was my stash ad, and it's blooming gorgeous actually. Really, really nice kit. I'm very impressed. I've bought their upgrade sets before. And have started using one on the Arc Royal in 1:350 scale, and it's lovely to work with. So there is a bit of photo etching here, but it's mainly plastic, and there will be a first impressions video coming out of that at some point because I've already recorded it, but I don't know when, because things are going to get overtaken by the Japanese Imperial Navy. So last month in the roundup we had the old 1:350 scale Yamato on the desk to be filmed, and we filmed the first impressions video of that, plus some aftermarket and reference material, and we've got a really nice first impressions video coming along on that. So if you've never bought but thought about building the Yamato in 1:350 scale, you'll have everything you need to understand if that's a kit you want to buy into. And I've been working on the premise that you can build that kit to a standard that's equal to in finish the much more expensive new tool. So that will be an interesting project. Not long after we'd got that out and filmed that, then the 1:200 Yamato came out, and my first thought was, it's gonna be big. Do I really want to? You know, I've got a 1:350. Is that sufficient? Yeah, probably. Then a long-time friend of the channel, who Oscale Modelling, who had a channel that launched at a similar time to mine, he did a box review of his, and I immediately saw some little issues with it and thought that will be interesting to see if we can correct that, and I stopped watching it. So I didn't finish watching it. Sorry, Peter. I will finish watching it, but there's a good reason, and I'm going to tell you why in a sec. The reason is I decided, actually, I want to get it. Also, those of you that follow the model ship will know that Ron Calvary was talking about, yeah, well, I'll think about it, But he was talking about it, Peter's got it, Peter and I are chatting about it and sort of saying, oh, it'd be great for us all to build it at the same time. And then, of course, Nigel from Nigel's Modelling Bench comes along and says, guess what? I've just bought one as well. So mine's on order, his has just arrived, Peter's has just arrived, and it's all sort of snowballing out of control. So as I record this, I'm expecting it to be delivered tomorrow or the day after. The stock hit the UK from my pre-order. So I will be doing some first impressions around it. Now, typically with the 1200 kit, it's just not possible to do it in one go and do it justice. And what I will do is I'll do what I did with the Scharnhorst, and we'll have a look at what you get in the box, what you get for your money. Then we'll have a look at the hull in detail, because that's often an issue on these larger ship kits. So we'll have a look at the hull and the deck and take a view on that. We'll also be able to work out from the hull and the deck what version we've got, because Yamato has quite a lot of changes in her lifetime, as does her sister ship, primarily more and more guns. And then we'll do a third video which looks at the superstructure, and we'll critique that in terms of the references and get a view as to what needs to be done if you want to correct it. Is there anything glaringly obvious? Is there any big bloopers? Or, you know, is there little tweaks? Now, at this moment in time, there isn't a massive market for upgrades for it. But I believe at that scale, you can scratch build most of the upgrades. As long as you've got railings and stuff like that, you can probably scratch build most other things one way or another, if you're inclined to. I have no doubt that there'll be some stuff coming out from Edward or whoever to jazz it up. Whether Pontos will do something in the fullness of time, it's going to be a big seller, and that's usually what gets these people doing something, because they know they're going to shift volume and that's what they need. So I suspect there will be some aftermarket coming along. Whether I'll buy into it, I don't know. It's a lot of money, and nothing's come along for the Scharnhorst really. Whether that's because there's some issues with the kit or they just don't think it's going to sell in the volume, I don't know. But there's a lot of common things on the German ships at 1/200 scale with the Bismarck and the Tirpitz and what have you. There's a lot of common parts, so I don't know why. So yet to be seen with the Yamato. Well, what we will do is we will do 3 video first impressions. They'll be in addition to the usual first impressions that are built in the month. And if the Katie lands from Airfix that's on pre-order, or the 1/48 Buccaneer, which I have now ordered, if they come along, there'll be extras as well. So we could have loads of first impressions coming out of our ears. Now, shout out time. First of all, I want to give a little shout out to 2 long-standing friends of the channel. One is Peter at Oscale Modelling. Go and have a look at his Yamato videos. What I saw was really nice, but I don't want to watch the rest of that until I've done mine, because I don't want to be influenced. I want to form my own opinions on it. So go and have a look at that. He's just completed a large-scale Revell kit. He's just completed a tank that looks lovely. So if you've not watched Oscale Modelling for a while, or you've never come across him, go and have a look. I will leave a link at the bottom. If I forget, someone let me know. The other one is Nigel's Modelling Desk. I'm guessing most of you know him. Many of you started watching my channel because of him, because he shouted me out right in the early days. He's also doing a multi-part Yamato first impressions inbox review type thing. Again, I've not watched it because I don't want to be influenced. I know he will focus on the hull because he always does. So I don't want to be influenced, so I'm not going to watch it. I will be watching it, but not until I've filmed mine and formed my impressions. I think that's only fair. So go and have a look at his, and then you can compare all of them and see what people have picked up. Nigel has also done a review of the anatomy of this ship, which covers the Yamato and her sister ship. It's unusual that they do two ships, sort of a class of ships in one, but actually there's a lot of material that they've just not got on these ships because the Japanese did such a good job of destroying the records of it just before the war ended. So go and have a look at his book review. It's the same reference material that I'll be using for judging my first impressions and for my build in 1/200 scale and 1/350 scale. So if you're interested in the book, go and have a look at Nigel's modelling desk. He's got loads of interesting things going on, not least a very large Lancaster. Right, my next shout out is somebody that has just started a channel. At this moment in time, he's got a very small number of subscribers. He's currently building the 1/200 scale Arizona, but if you look at his video heading, he's got a car on there, and he's got a tank on there, and he's got a can of beer, and his channel is called Models and Beer, so that's fair enough. I'll leave a link down there. He's got about 60 subscribers at the moment. Nice chap, just finding his feet, as we all do at the beginning with his style and his channel. But he's coming across as a really nice guy, and his model build of the Arizona is really lovely. So do please go and check that out. If you decide that you want to subscribe, just let him know where you came from so he understands why things are happening the way they are. It just helps people. And the last channel that I want to mention this month is a channel I started watching a short while ago. I've been in the process of just catching up with him. Currently he's working on a 7-ton MAN 6x6 truck in 1/35 scale. It's the old Revell kit. He's doing a lovely job of it. And his channel's called That Mofo Demon. Again, I will leave a link if I remember. He's got around about 770 subscribers at the moment. He should have way more. So please go and check him out if you've not come across him before, or if you've not seen his work. Go and have a look. Great little channel. I like what he's doing. And again, if you decide to subscribe, just let him know where you came from. Brilliant. Well, it feels like there's a lot going on one way or another, so I'm going to leave it there, and I will see you on the next build video if you want to come along to the live chat. If you want to understand what we're building next, then in a minute a page will come along with what we're building next. You can press pause and have a good look at that. Otherwise, I will see you very soon.